Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome all to today's reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We're reading from the Adi Lila and we are going to begin chapter 5, the glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Today is also Shartila Ekadashi and I wish you all a very happy Ekadashi. Chapter 5, the glories of Lord Nityanandaram. This chapter is chiefly devoted to describing the essential nature and glories of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Lord Shri Krishna is the absolute personality of Godhead and his first expansion in a form for pastimes is Shri Balaram. Beyond the limitation of this material world is the spiritual sky, Paravyoma, which has many spiritual planets, the supreme of which is called Krishna Lok. Krishna Lok, the abode of Krishna, has three divisions, which are known as Dwarka, Mathura and Gokul. In that abode, the personality of Godhead expands himself into four plenary portions: Krishna, Balaram, Pradyumna, which is the transcendental Cupid, and Anirudh. They are known as the original quadruple forms. In the Krishna Lok is a transcendental place known as Shvetadvip or Vrindavan. Below Krishna Lok in the spiritual sky are the Vaikuntha planets. On each Vaikuntha planet, a four-handed Narayan expanded from the first quadrupule manifestation is present. The personality of Godhead known as Shri Balaram in Krishna Lok is the original Sankarshan, attracting deity, and from this Sankarshan expands another Sankarshan called Mahasankarshan, who resides in one of the Vaikuntha planets. By his internal potency, Mahasankarshan maintains the transcendental existence of all the planets in the spiritual sky. I will repeat, by his internal potency, Mahasankarshan maintains the transcendental existence of all the planets in the spiritual sky, where all the living beings are eternally liberated souls. The influence of the material energy is conspicuous there by its absence. On those planets, the second quadrupule manifestation is present. Outside of the Vaikuntha planets is the impersonal manifestation of Shri Krishna, which is known as Brahmalok. On the other side of Brahmalok is the spiritual Karan Samudra or causal ocean. The material energy exists on the other side of the causal ocean without touching it. In the causal ocean is Mahavishnu, the original Purush expansion from Sankarshan. Mahavishnu places his glance over the material energy and by a reflection of his transcendental body, he amalgamates himself within the material elements. This is very important paragraph, so I'll repeat it again. Outside of the Vaikuntha planets is the impersonal manifestations of Shri Krishna, which is known as Brahmalok. On the other side of Brahmalok is the spiritual Karan Samudra or the causal ocean. The material energy exists on the other side of the causal ocean without touching it. In the causal ocean is Mahavishnu, the original Purush expansion from Sankarshan. Mahavishnu places his glance over the material energy and by a reflection of his transcendental body, he amalgamates himself within the material elements. As the source of the material elements, the material energy is known as Pradhan, and as the source of the manifestations of the material energy, it is known as Maya. So the source of material energy. As a source of the material elements, the material energy is known as Pradhan, and as the source of the manifestations of the material energy, it is known as Maya. But material nature is inert, that she has no independent power to do anything. She is empowered to make the cosmic manifestation by the glance of Mahavishnu. Therefore, the material energy is not the original cause of the material manifestation. Rather, the transcendental glance of Mahavishnu over material nature produces that cosmic manifestation. Mahavishnu again enters every universe as the reservoir of all living entities. Garbhodakshai Vishnu. From Garbhodakshai Vishnu expands Kshirodakshai Vishnu. The super soul of every entity. We have read this so many times before, but it is always worthwhile to recap. Mahavishnu again enters every universe as the reservoir of all living entities. Garbhodakshai Vishnu. From Garbhodakshai Vishnu expands Kshirodakshai Vishnu, the super soul of every living entity. Garbhodakshai Vishnu also has his own Vaikuntha planet in every universe, where he lives as a super soul or supreme controller of the universe. Garbhodakshai Vishnu reclines in the midst of the watery portion of the universe and generates the first living creature of the universe, Brahma. The imaginary universal form is a partial manifestation of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So the universal form, which is a partial manifestation of the Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And Garbhodakshai Vishnu is reclining in the midst of watery portion of the universe and generates the first living creature of the universe, Brahma. On the Vaikuntha planet, in every universe is an ocean of milk, and within that ocean is an island called Shvetadvip, where Lord Vishnu lives. Therefore, this chapter describes two Shvetadvips, one in the abode of Krishna and the other in the ocean of milk in every universe. The Shvetadvip in the abode of Krishna is identical with the Vrindavan Dham, which is the place where Krishna appears himself to display his loving pastimes. In the Shvetadvip, within every universe is a Shesha form of Godhead who serves Vishnu by assuming the form of his umbrella, slippers, couch, pillows, garments, residence, sacred thread, throne, and so on. So there's two Shvetadvips. One is in the Krishna Lok, in the abode of Krishna, and the other one is in the ocean of milk, or the Karan ocean in every universe. And within the Shvetadvip in every universe is the Shesha form of God who serves Vishnu by assuming the form of his umbrella, slippers, couch, pillows, garments, residence, sacred thread, throne, and so on. Lord Baldev in Krishna Lok is Nityananda Prabhu. Therefore, Nityananda Prabhu is the original Sankarshan and Mahasankarshan, and his expansions as the Purushas in the universes are plenary expansions of Nityananda Prabhu. So in Krishna Lok, Lord Baldev is Nityananda Prabhu. So he is the original Sankarshan and Mahasankarshan, and his expansions as the Purushas in the universes. So Shesha are the plenary expansions of Nityananda Prabhu. In this chapter, the author has described the history of his leaving home for a personal pilgrimage to Vrindavan and is achieving all success there. In this description, it is revealed that the author's original paternal home and birthplace were in the district of Katwa, in the village of Jamatpura, which is near Naihati. Krishnadas Kaviraja's brother invited Sri Meenaketan Ramadas, a great devotee of Lord Nityananda, to his home, but a priest named Gunar Nava Mishra did not receive him well, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's brother, not recognizing the glories of Lord Nityananda, also took sides with the priest. Therefore Ramadas became very sorry, broke his flute and went away. This was a great disaster for the brother of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, but on that very night Lord Nityananda Prabhu himself praised Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in a dream and ordered him to leave on the next day for Vrindavan. Verse 1 of chapter 5. Let me offer my obeisances to Lord Sri Nityananda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose opulence is wonderful and unlimited. By his will, even a fool can understand his identity. Verse 2. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. This is the pranam mantra of Nityananda Prabhu. Translation: all glories to Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda. This is the Panchatattva mantra. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 3. I have described the glory of Shri Krishna Chaitanya in 6 verses. Now in 5 verses I shall describe the glory of Lord Nityananda. Verse 4. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the fountainhead of all incarnation. Lord Balram is his second body. The verse is like this. Sarva Avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagwan Tanhara Dvitiya Deha Shri Balaram. Purport: Lord Shri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead, is the primeval Lord, the original form of the Godhead, and his first expansion is Shri Balaram. The personality of Godhead can expand himself in innumerable forms. The forms that have unlimited potency are called Swamsha, and forms that have got limited potencies, that is the living entities, are called Vibhin Amsha. So the forms with unlimited potency are Swamsha, and the ones with the limited potencies, that is the living entities, are called Vibhinnamsha. Verse 5. These two are one and the same identity. They differ only in form. Lord Balram is the first bodily expansion of Krishna, and he assists in Lord Krishna's transcendental pastimes. Eka hi swarup donhe bhinna matra kaya adya kaya vyuha Krishna lilara sahaya. Balram is the Swamsha expansion of the Lord, and therefore there is no difference in potency between Krishna and Balram. The only difference is in their bodily structure. As the first expansion of Godhead, Balram is the chief deity among the first quadruple forms, and he is the foremost assistant of Shri Krishna in his transcendental activities. Verse 6. That original Lord Krishna appeared in Navadvipa as Lord Chaitanya, and Balram appeared with him as Lord Nityananda. Sai Krishna Navadvipe Shri Chaitanya Chandra Sai Balrama Sange Shri Nityananda. Verse 7. May Shri Nityananda Ram be the object of my constant remembrance. Sankarshan, Sheshnag, and the Vishnus who lie on the Karan ocean, Garbha ocean, and ocean of milk are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. Purport: Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami has recorded this verse in his diary to offer his respectful obeisances to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. This verse also appears as the seventh of the first 14 verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Verse 8, Lord Balram is the original Sankarshan. He assumes 5 other forms to serve Lord Krishna. Sri Balram Gosani Mula Sankarshan Pancharupa Dhari Karena Krishnera Sevana. Verse 9, Apane Karena Krishna Lila Rasahaya Srishti Lila Karya Kare Dhari Charikaya. He himself helps in the pastimes of Lord Krishna, and he does the work of creation in 4 other forms. Verse 10, he executes the orders of Lord Krishna in the work of creation, and in the form of Lord Shesha he serves Krishna in various ways. Purport: according to expert opinion, Balram, as the chief of the original quadruple forms, is also the original Sankarshan. Balram, the first expansion of Krishna, expands himself in 5 forms: Mahasankarshan, Karana, Bhishai, third is Garbhodakshai, and fourth is Kshirodakshai, and fifth is Shesha. So Balram, the first expansion of Krishna, expands himself in 5 forms. First is the Mahasankarshan, second is the Karana Bhishai, third is Garbhodakshai, fourth is Kshirodakshai, and fifth is Shesha. These 5 plenary portions are responsible for both the spiritual and material cosmic manifestations. In these 5 forms, Lord Balram assists Lord Krishna in his activities. The first 4 of these forms are responsible for the cosmic manifestations, whereas Shesha is responsible for personal service to the Lord. Shesha is called Ananta or unlimited because he assists the personality of Godhead in his unlimited expansions by performing an unlimited variety of services. Sri Balram is the servitor Godhead who serves Lord Krishna in all affairs of existence and knowledge. Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is the same servitor Godhead, Balram performs the same service to Lord Gauranga by constant association. So Lord Nityananda, who is the same servitor Godhead, Balram, performs the same service to Lord Gauranga by constant association. Verse 11, in all the forms he tastes the transcendental bliss of serving Krishna. That same Balram is Lord Nityananda, the companion of Lord Gaurasundar. Verse 12, I have explained the 7th verse in 4 subsequent verses. By these verses, all the world can know the truth about Lord Nityananda. I surrender, verse 13, I surrender unto the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, who is known as Sankarshan, in the midst of the Chaturvyuha consisting of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. So the Chaturvyuha consists of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. So Nityananda Ram is known as Sankarshan in the midst of the Chaturvyuha, we just said. Purport: this is a verse from Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami's diary. It appears as the 8th of the first 14 verses of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Verse 14, beyond the material nature lies the realm known as Paravyoma, the spiritual sky, like Lord Krishna himself. It possesses all transcendental attributes such as the 6 opulences. Purport: according to Sankhya philosophy, the material cosmos is composed of 24 elements, the 5 gross material elements, the 3 subtle material elements, the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, the 5 active senses, the 5 objects of sense pleasure, and the Mahat Tattva, the total material energy. Empiric philosophers unable to go beyond these elements speculate that anything beyond them must be avyakta or inexplicable. But the world beyond the 24 elements is not inexplicable, for it is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as the eternal or the Sanatana nature. Beyond the manifested and unmanifested existence of material nature, which is the Vyakta, Vyakta is the Sanatana nature, which is called the Paravyoma or the spiritual sky. Since the nature is spiritual in quality, there are no qualitative differences there. Everywhere, everything there is spiritual, everything is good, and everything possesses the spiritual form of Sri Krishna himself. That spiritual sky is the manifested internal potency of Sri Krishna. It is distinct from the material sky manifested by his external potency. The all-pervading Brahman, composed of the impersonal glowing rays of Sri Krishna, exists in the spiritual world. With the Vaikuntha planets, we can get some idea of that spiritual sky by comparison to the material sky. For the rays of the sun in the material sky can be compared to the Brahmajyoti, the glowing rays of the personalities of Godhead. In the Brahmajyoti, there are unlimited Vaikuntha planets which are spiritual and therefore self-luminous, with a glow many times greater than that of the sun. The personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, his innumerable plenary portions, and the portions of his plenary portions dominate each Vaikuntha planet. In the highest region of the spiritual sky is the planet called Krishnaloka, which has 3 divisions, namely Dwarka, Mathura, and Golok or Gokul. Since it's very important, so I'm going to reread it for all of you. The all-pervading Brahman, composed of the impersonal glowing rays of Sri Krishna, exists in the spiritual world. With the Vaikuntha planets, we can get some idea of that spiritual sky by a comparison to the material sky, for the rays of the sun in the material sky can be compared to the Brahmajyoti, the glowing rays of the personality of Godhead. In the Brahmajyoti, there are unlimited Vaikuntha planets which are spiritual and therefore self-luminous, with a glow many times greater than that of the sun. The personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, his innumerable plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions dominate each Vaikuntha planet. In the highest region of the spiritual sky is the planet called Krishnalok, which has 3 divisions, namely Dwarka, Mathura, and Golok or Gokul. To a gross materialist, in this kingdom of God, Vaikuntha is certainly a mystery, but to an ignorant man, everything is a mystery for want of sufficient knowledge. The kingdom of God is not a myth. Even the material planets which float over our heads in the millions and billions are still a mystery to the ignorant. Material scientists are now attempting to penetrate this mystery, and a day may come when the people of this earth will be able to travel in outer space and see the variegatedness of these millions of planets with their own eyes. In every planet is as much material variegatedness as we find in our own planet. This planet Earth is but an insignificant spot in the cosmic structure, yet foolish men, puffed up by a false sense of scientific advancement, have concentrated their energy in the pursuit of so-called economic development on this planet, not knowing of the variegated economic facilities available on other planets. According to modern astronomy, the gravity of the moon is different from that of Earth. Therefore, one who goes to the moon will be able to pick up large weights and jump vast distances. In the Ramayana, Hanuman is described as being able to lift huge weights as heavy as hills and jump over the ocean. Modern astronomy has confirmed that this is indeed possible. The disease of the modern civilized man is his disbelief of everything in the revealed scriptures. faithless non-believers cannot make progress in spiritual realization, for they cannot understand the spiritual potency. The small fruit of a banyan tree contains hundreds of seeds, and in each seed is the potency to produce another banyan tree with the potency to produce millions more of such fruits. This law of nature is visible before us, although how it works is beyond our understanding. This is but an insignificant example of the potency of Godhead. There are many similar phenomena that no scientist can explain. Everything, in fact, is inconceivable, for the truth is revealed only to the proper persons. Although there are varieties of personalities from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, all of whom are living beings, the development of knowledge is different. Therefore, we have to gather knowledge from the right source. Indeed, in reality, we can get knowledge only from the Vedic sources. The four Vedas, with their supplementary Puranas and Mahabharata, the Ramayana and other corollaries, which are known as Smritis, are all authorized source of knowledge. If we are at all to gather knowledge, we must gather it from these sources without hesitation. Revealed knowledge may in the beginning be unbelievable because of our paradoxical desire to verify everything with our tiny brains, but the speculative means of attaining knowledge is always imperfect. The perfect knowledge propounded in the revealed scriptures is confirmed by the great acharyas who have left ample commentations upon them. None of these acharyas have disbelieved in the Shastras. One who disbelieves in the Shastras is an atheist, and we should not consult an atheist, however great he may be. A staunch believer in the Shastras, with all their diversities, is the right person from whom to gather real knowledge. Such knowledge may seem inconceivable in the beginning, but when put forward by the proper authority, its meaning is revealed, and then one no longer has any doubts about it. Verse 15, that Vaikuntha region is all-pervading, infinite, and supreme. It is the residence of Lord Krishna and his incarnations. The verse goes like this: Sarvaga Ananta Vibhu Vaikunthadi Dhama Krishna Krishna Avatarera Tahani Vishram. Verse 16, in the highest region of the spiritual sky is the spiritual planet called Krishna Lok. It has three divisions: Dwarka, Mathura and Gokul. So the Krishna Lok has got three divisions: Dwarka, Mathura and Gokul. Exactly like we see in the material world when Krishna appeared in Vraja. There is Gokul, Mathura and Dwarka, where he ruled. Verse 17, Shri Gokul, the highest of all, is also called Vraja, Golok, Shvetadvip and Vrindavan. So Gokul, which is the highest, has got other names: Vraja, Goloka, Shvetadvip and Vrindavan. So we will continue our reading from here onwards next time. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.